It's time for the weather. Tropical Depression Fred's still in the news, making landfall yesterday near Panama City Beach, Florida. Winds near 65 miles per hour and a moderate storm surge. Fred is continuing his northern path up through Georgia, the Western Carolinas, and East Tennessee.
There's an old adage in birdwatching that says, bad weather brings good birds. Well, that was certainly the case as Tropical Depression Fred came through our area. I was able to brave the storm, get out there and see some really cool birds. I will say it was very difficult conditions to get footage because of high wind, rain, rapidly changing conditions. I would get the camera and the scope set up and have to tear it down because the next band of rain was coming in. I'm happy to have you along. I hope you enjoy the video. Leave me a comment below if you've ever chased storm birds and what your best storm bird was.
Hey, we're on the Ratcross Birding Trail today at Music's Campground, Bristol, Tennessee, right on the border of Virginia. As a matter of fact, just over there across the lake is Virginia. Beautiful part of the South Holston Lake, part of the Tennessee Valley Authority dam system. Cherokee National Forest in the background. It's dark, overcast. We got a break from the rain right now. Tropical storm Fred is moving through. I came out to this famed section of the lake to see if any of the storm fallout birds had arrived. We've got a couple of terns, a great blue heron just right up there. Had an egret fly over, great egret just a moment ago. Several barn swallows out over the water. Not a lot of activity yet, but this is a pretty big system. I think either this afternoon or tomorrow we'll get some fallout birds. We're just down the road from Bristol Motor Speedway, and in fact a lot of the NASCAR drivers and NASCAR elite have come out to this section of the lake when the NASCAR race comes to Bristol twice a year. Really beautiful part of the lake. I'm on private property now. There's a campground, then a marina that way, another campground and a marina that way. We're on the state line. Across the lake is Virginia. Over there is Virginia. Starting to pick up the rain here, so I'm gonna have to get some video equipment out of the rain and maybe it will knock down a couple of those storm birds. I'll be back. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right there.
And sure enough, just like that, the rain started to bring some really cool birds. I first saw the Sanderling, and this guy was just a forecast of what was to come. Shortly thereafter, another small group of birds landed out on the point. I got them in the scope, quickly realized they were black-bellied plover. Now, the Sanderling makes an appearance nearly annually here in Northeast Tennessee, usually in small numbers. The black-bellied plover, however, has less than a couple dozen records in the area for as long as records have been kept. So the black-bellied plover was a rare find. Although there was plenty of rain associated with now Tropical Depression Fred, the winds hadn't been strong even at landfall, so these birds probably were not caught up in a storm and falling out from the eye of a storm. These birds were probably migrating and hit this heavy rain system and were just grounded. As things started to calm down, it was a good chance for me to get out of there. I wanted to get home to meet my wife at the end of her workday to see if I could convince her to come back out while the weather system was still passing through. I really appreciate the property owners allowing us to come out and bird watch on their property, so I'm happy to comply with the request to sign in and sign out. I've got a request of you guys. If you like this video, be sure and hit that like button. And if you find yourself engaged, entertained, educated, or otherwise just enjoying this, why don't you consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell so you'll know when we upload new content. If you know anyone else that might enjoy this type of content, please share it across your social media. We'll get some new friends in here. Fortunately, my wife couldn't wait to get back out there to see if she could lay her eyes on one of those black-bellied plovers. She's never seen a black-bellied plover in breeding plumage. Also, the Sanderling is one of her favorite birds. Tropical Depression Fred continued to not disappoint. We saw a couple of the birds still there, including the Sanderling and the black-bellied plover. And our little Sanderling friend must have called in some friends, because when we noticed some small birds flying off the point finally land, it turned out to be 8 Sanderling. Now, that's a significant number because that tied the high count for Northeast Tennessee. We hadn't seen 8 Sanderling in these parts since the early 1970s. So this was a significant record. Thank you, Fred, the tropical weather system. Then out of nowhere, this beauty showed up. It's a red-necked Phalarope. Now, this is a true treasure in the area, very rare in Northeast Tennessee. We did have one in the area last spring. I wasn't able to see it, so this was the first time I have identified this species in Northeast Tennessee. That was excellent. Also, we had some semi-palmated plovers drop in. You can see they're a little bit smaller than the Killdeer, both in the plover family. There were still terns in the area, although they're very distant and difficult to photograph, including the black tern, the common tern, and the Forster's tern. So obviously, we had a wonderful evening birding session. My wife was able to accomplish a couple of birding goals, and I was able to add a new species to my county list. On the way out, we were treated to one more piece of nature. This black rat snake was just waiting to say goodbye. I guess he was bathing in the rain. I think I'll come back in the morning to see if the remnants of this tropical weather system bring any more goodies. The storm had brought its best, and I was fortunate enough to be there to see the spectacle of rare birds. And I was glad that I was, even if it was a little bit windy and a little bit wet. It's always worth the effort. Being in the field is its own reward. 3 species of terns showed up, as well as a spotted sandpiper, which was new for the event. And then everything else was kind of calm. Later, as the skies cleared, the Canada geese returned home. I guess that kind of meant the show was over. So I'm going to leave you now with some highlight clips I wasn't able to use in this video and some cool music. I hope you enjoy it. And you'll come back and watch some more of this good bird content that we're uploading at the Bird Garden YouTube channel.